Howdy, I'm Chris Capel. Welcome to Dizzy Thursday Live. We're here at Dizzy Pig headquarters in Manassas, Virginia. Ideas for these live feeds are not super easy to come up with. So please let us know what you'd like us to talk about in the future. You can do that anytime, anyway. Email us, comment below, let us know what you'd like to see. Today it wasn't really hard to come up with. We're talking turkey. Thanksgiving's next week, so we're pretty excited about it, as are a lot of folks. A lot of people are really thinking turkey right now. What are they going to do? Do I brine it? What do I do? I got some questions in. We got some on Instagram, some on Facebook that have been coming over the wire. So I've got a few things to talk about. I went ahead and compiled some answers earlier that I wrote down. It's all my words. I'm going to be looking at this just so I don't forget anything. But yeah, any questions while I'm talking? Chime in. We got Bobby over here sitting waiting for comments to come in. So if you got anything, let him know, and he'll shoot it over to me, and hopefully we'll get your questions answered. If you know anybody that is cooking a turkey, share this with them. Shoot it on over, and because we're going to be talking about a few things that just might help them out. So first of all, we got Josh Knight on Facebook. This guy, Josh, from what I can see, is like pretty seriously into cooking right now. Thanks for the question, Josh. He asked, is brining really worth it or necessary if cooking on the big green egg, since the egg holds moisture so well? So, okay, I'll try to answer that the best I can. I'm personally a big fan of brining. And the egg is indeed a very moist environment. And it does a great job with a turkey that's not brine as well. What I find is that I like the flavor much better in the brine meat. I think a turkey breast is kind of bland personally. And people in our turkey class last week agreed. Everybody liked the brine turkey best. I think it had a nice zing in the meat. It's a little salt into the meat, which doesn't really hurt a turkey. So, you know, for me, a brine is preferable over an injection for sure. But definitely over not brining. An injection, I find, can leave like flavor pockets. It's a little more difficult to get even flavor kind of throughout it. So I've never been a big fan of injecting turkeys. So yeah, like the way a brine works is the brine has salt in it and other stuff as well for flavor. But it's mainly the salt that acts, and I'm not going to get into the science of it because it's pretty complicated if you want to read on it. Actually, I was yawning trying to read some of this like scientific stuff on brining, but basically the brine has a higher concentration of salt than the cells in the muscle fibers. So what happens is the cells pull in this moisture by osmosis. Look it up. I'm not a scientist. I know it works. And it's a great way of pulling flavor in your meat, perhaps keeping it a little more moist, but the main thing for me is the flavor. So yeah, Josh, I'm going to brine for flavor, and I'm going to do that every time that I have time to brine. In the future, when I cook a turkey, I'm going to brine. As far as the types of brines, basically, the recipe that we used in the class that everybody liked is a new one I came up with. It's basically 3 gallons of water, which was enough for like an 18-pound turkey or whatever would fit in my pot. And then 2 cups of Morton kosher salt, 2 cups of raw sugar, which means turbinado or demerara, even brown sugar or honey would work. I just like to get the sweetness on there, and I think it helps the browning of the skin as well. And then 4 tablespoons of our Mad Max turkey seasoning. And people really like that. Of course, you can go crazy with the brine. You can use herbs and lemon peel. You can use fresh sage. You can use roasted garlic. Whatever kind of flavors you want to pull into that meat. Even like a cinnamon stick in there just will give a nice little hint of cinnamon in there. If that's what you're looking for, there's a lot of things you can do with it. But I definitely recommend trying it. So thanks for the question, Josh. Mike Blau via email asked us, Mad Max indicates, and this is the Mad Max with the famous Mad Max turkey recipe, indicates that it's okay to brine a turkey as part of the Mad Max turkey method. How do you do this without making the bird taste too salty? And that's kind of a tough one because everybody has a different tolerance for salt. The one that I did at the class this weekend that was everybody's favorite, I used a injected bird or a self-basted frozen bird that I had thawed, and I brined it for about 14 hours. And I also used salted butter. In Mad Max, you mix the seasoning with the butter and put it all over the bird. So I use a salted butter and Mad Max, which has a little salt in it, and it still wasn't too salty. So for us and for anybody in the class, like I said, if you want to dial back on the salt, Mike, you could use an unsalted butter instead of a salted butter. Perhaps you could even maybe brine it a little less time, and also maybe use a fresh bird that hasn't already had some kind of solution injected into it that might have a little salt as well. So those are a few things that you could do to reduce the saltiness. I like the salt on the turkey, and everybody here did too. All right, from Drew Donnelly on Facebook. Where should I buy birds, and how do we decide? I guess how do we decide what type of bird to buy? And that's also kind of a tough question. It really depends on your budget and your needs and your wants or the wishes of the people that you're serving, if they want a free range or a heritage bird or something like that. But they can be quite costly. It can cost 4, 5, 6 times what a regular turkey the rock solid frozen turkeys that are everywhere. And I've had good results with both frozen and fresh. And for me, I haven't really noticed enough of a difference not to get a frozen bird. It's convenient, it's budget oriented. So for me, I'm usually buying a frozen bird. I'm buying a frozen bird for my family this year. When reading a little more on the subject, it seemed like a lot of folks believe that a fresh turkey has a better finished texture. It has a better finished texture than a frozen bird. But pretty much everybody agrees that it's not 4 to 5 times better. So I recommend experimenting. If you've got, I wouldn't buy a fresh bird more than 2 days before you're going to cook it. So that kind of adds a little bit of a complication and the cost. But and I have to say I haven't done a side by side before, but you probably have to do 3 or 4 side by sides to really get a conclusive, a conclusion on what's better. So that's what I know about turkeys. The article that I read was in the Washington Post, where they did actually 3 or 4 different side-by-sides, and in most of the cases, they like the texture of the fresh bird a little better. Mad Max will thumb his nose up if he mentioned free-range turkey. His quote is, "It's sinewy," which means tough and stringy. So I guess these birds that are running around a lot might be a little tougher. I haven't cooked a lot of them, so I can't really advise on that. Hope that helps. Anything coming in yet? No. Oh, okay, good. That means people are listening, maybe. Dado BBQ on Instagram. Can pineapple head be used in pumpkin pie? And I say absolutely, Dado. While pineapple head was originally developed for grilling fruit, like pineapple was my original inspiration for it, it's good in so many desserts and foods, and we're finding more every day of what customers are using it on. But by all means, it would really be good not only mixed in with the pumpkin in the pie, but also sprinkled on top before you bake it to make a nice kind of caramelized crust on it. Pineapple head really does go well with a lot of desserts. And speaking of orange ingredients like pumpkin, it's perfect for sweet potatoes and butternut squash and any kind of a pumpkin dish that you do. Look up on the Dizzy Pig website, look up pineapple head mashed sweet potatoes. So this is a recipe from famous Mad Max's daughter, Sydney Rosen, who's also famous. And the one we made at the class was gone in seconds. So can recommend that. Also, you can go to our, if you're on the website and you go to our recipes, you can filter the recipe by seasoning used. So just, like select pineapple head and you'll see all the recipes that we've done with pineapple head or that we've posted that have pineapple head in it. All right, another question, Amol, A-M-O-L on Instagram. What temp do you smoke a spatchcock turkey to get crisp skin? And well, spatchcock is my method of preference. I think it's the best way to cook a turkey, in my opinion. That's how I'm cooking my turkey. Like the dark meat actually moves along a little faster and it gets a little more done before you take a chance on overcooking the breast. But when I hear the word smoke, I'm thinking about smoking temperatures, 240 or 250, which is not a bad way to cook a turkey. It's kind of nice to bring it up low, slow, and you get a nice even cook, but it's not going to get you very good skin. And you want to be real careful with the smoke too, not to put too much smoke on it. But yeah, so the spatchcocking is definitely a good move. For those that aren't familiar with spatchcocking, it's a terrible name for a cool technique. It's basically you cut the backbone out of the turkey and you crack the breastbone so it lays flat. You can use the backbone in stock, which is wonderful, and I think the bird cooks a lot better in a spatchcock way because you get the dark meat done before the white meat's overcooked. So I recommend more of a roasting temperature from 350 to 375 to get your skin going along and browning and drying out and crisping up. For a very large turkey, you might want to go a little lower than that. If it's a huge turkey, maybe 300 to 325, because it's going to be cooking a lot longer, so that skin's going to have a lot more time to brown, so you don't want to be too hot and brown the skin early. So I'd recommend, 350 to like 375. But keep an eye on the skin color. If it's getting too dark and like the breast meat has still got a long way to go, you can go ahead and cover it with foil. I pull the foil off about 10 or 15 minutes before it comes off the cooker just to crisp the skin up. But keep an eye on that. If it's not too brown, just let it go. And if I always pull the turkey when the breast meat is 150 because it's going to go up at least 10 degrees, and I really don't want to go much past 160 on the breast meat in order to get it moist. So if the breast meat's about 130 and the skin is still needs a little browning, I'll notch the cooker up to 400 or 425 or whatever I need. You do want to be careful if you do that not to burn the drippings in your pan for your gravy because you don't want to get that bitter. So you might have to add some more liquid to it or whatever just to keep it from burning at the higher temperatures. But by all means, like finishing off at a little bit of a higher temperature is a great way to crisp the skin. So hope that answers your question. We got one more from Andre O on Facebook. He wants to try the beer can method on turkey. Advice for getting white and dark meat done at the same time. I have cooked turkey standing up before, and it's not a bad way to go. I have not done a beer can turkey myself. I would expect you need like a can of Foster's or something, a 32-ounce beer can to do it. But in order to get your breast and your dark meat done at the same time, for one, I recommend the Mad Max technique of taking a bag of ice cubes and putting it on the breast while the turkey is sitting on the table and at room temperature, So like the like dark meat can start to come up to room temperature. The ice will keep the breast cold. That way, like the dark meat gets a little bit of a head start. Only other thing I can suggest is if the heat's coming from, I'm not sure what cooker you're cooking this on, but if the heat's coming from below, I would want the dark meat to be on the downside and the breast meat to be on top, because the heat's coming from below, and like you want to put a little more heat to the dark meat in order to get it done. I don't mind taking the dark meat to 185. It's not likely that you're going to get that high before the breast is overcooked. So a lot of people will recommend 165. I think it needs a little more than that. So hopefully you get up to at least 165 in the dark meat. If not, 175, 180, 185 is perfect in my opinion. So yeah, if the heat's coming from below, put the dark meat on the bottom. If the heat's coming from above, I put the dark meat on top. So that's it for the turkey questions that we have. If you're not catching this live, that's okay. You can still comment below, and we'll be checking back and answering your turkey questions. You can also give us a call here at the Dizzy Pig Barbecue Supply Store, our Dizzy Pig headquarters. We're open from 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Just give us a buzz if you have any questions. And hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, a lot of good time with family and friends, and relax and cook it up good, and don't worry if it doesn't come out. Hopefully it does. We'll catch you in 2 Thursdays on Dizzy Thursday Live.